Harlem, then Cottage, New York at 8:30 a.m. Now boarding a truck 14. Fanny, what's the matter with you? Haven't you any pride? Now, I love the guy. You love me. I want to be with him. It's that simple. Fanny, can't you see you're making a fool of yourself? Georgie, when something's right for me, I do it, and this is right for me. Like the falls of
Welcome to Larry King Live from Los Angeles. Tonight, the superstar personified, Barbra Streisand, in an unprecedented live interview. Her name opens any door in Hollywood. Her work draws legions around the world. Now, here's Larry King.
Good evening from Los Angeles. We have a whole room full of guests tonight. First, one of Hollywood's leading directors, currently acclaimed for her hit project, The Prince of Tides, and nominated for a Directors Guild of America Award. We're also honored to welcome a legendary singer who as an ingenue electrified Broadway, and I can get it for you wholesale, and then came west to take this town by storm. We have a comedian who won laughs and hearts in Funny Girl, and Owl and the Pussycat, and What's Up, Doc? Also with us, an acknowledged Hollywood power broker, probably the industry's most influential woman, who produced Yentl, A Star Is Born, and Nuts. We're also pleased to welcome an Oscar winner, a multiple Grammy winner, an Emmy winner, a Tony winner, and a multiple Golden Globe recipient. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a lot of people. They are all here as one. Barbra Streisand. Two Jewish people from Brooklyn sitting here worldwide. Barbra, don't be nervous.
You scared me with that intro. I got a lot to live up to now, right?
All right, let's start with that. Are you an actor who directs and sings? Are you a singer who directs and acts? Are you a director who acts? What are you? First.
Do I have to label myself?
How do you think of yourself?
I just don't think that way, you know. I don't think in terms of words, one word to describe me, or two words, or three words. I mean, I know you have to. I guess the world has to just categorize you.
You don't categorize you.
I can't.
Well, when you started back in Brooklyn, that little girl wanted to be
an actress.
Not a singer.
Yeah. I liked singing. I mean, my identity was the kid on the block who had a good voice, so that was my identity at the time. But I always wanted to be an actress.
When did you know you were good? Was there a time, was it in high school? Was it back at Erasmus Hall in Brooklyn?
Well, one time
my
mother got mad at me. I did something bad, probably, did something bad, whatever, and she kind of hit me a little bit. So I pretended I was deaf, and it got her. And I did it for hours and hours, you know. And I did it well, and I thought, hey, I can act.
You scared her.
I scared her.
But when did you knew you could act? But when did you? There was a time when you knew, right? This is going to be my life.
Mm-hmm.
Was that early?
Yeah, I mean, I remember going to two acting classes at the same time. I didn't think one was enough, right? So I changed. I had a pseudonym in one class. My name was Angelina Scarangella. And I had two different teachers, you know, and I went to two different classes with two different names. And very early on, I think I knew I wanted to act. I loved Shakespeare and Chekhov, things that I discovered very late in life. I mean, I was late in life when I discovered.
Can you remember why you liked being other people? Why you wanted to be the girl, the sister, the mother, the brother, the lover, the aunt?
The aunt?
Whatever. You get
the aunt.
Aunt.
It's funny, you know, I have said before that I wanted to be Scarlett O'Hara, not Vivian Leigh. In other words, I must have wanted to escape my life in some way, because if I did see something in the movies, I thought, this is wonderful, like, you know, people love each other, and they get married, and isn't that nice to be in that world? It wasn't so much even acting as it was to sort of be in that world, be those people. It was a little odd.
And you believe the prince on the horse came and took the fair maiden and off they went.
I did when I was young. Yeah.
Was there a lot of knocking on doors early? I mean, were you the kind of kid that we saw in New York?
No. Never. I only made rounds, as an actress, where you knock on people's doors. I only did that for 2 days. And I remember feeling very humiliated and very degraded by a sense of a power play that I felt was operating with people. And I couldn't go through it. I could not knock on people's doors and say, do you have anything for me today?
So then how do you get into
So I gave it up. That's why I sang. That's why I became a singer.
Really?
Yeah. I said, this is too humiliating to ask for a job. I remember going and asking, there was a part of a beatnik, and I used to walk around with black stockings and a trench coat. I looked like a beatnik. I guess I was a beatnik. And I remember going up for a part, it wasn't even a speaking part, it was a walk-on. And the woman said to me, we have to see your work. So I said, well, why? I mean, first of all, I'll never get work if people like you keep saying you have to see my work. But when do you get that first shot? And second of all, I could be a lousy actress, or I could be Eleanor Duse. It doesn't matter. In other words, do I look right for the part? The principle got me. I couldn't understand it. Why did they have to see me work, for a walk-on? And I thought, this is too degrading. I couldn't do it. That's why, when I see things like about chutzpah, I mean, I guess I had chutzpah in other areas because I had something I felt I needed to express, But I would never ask anybody for a job. Except one time I did. And that was because after I sort of made a hit at the Bonsoir, I was 18 years old and I was a kind of a hit, right? And they kept extending my engagement until finally they had another female singer booked in, so they had to let me go. And I didn't get work for months and months and months. In other words, nobody hired me. I thought, well, what was that all about, So, my agent at the time, Joe, who's the famous agent?
Glazer.
Joe Glazer, right, Joe Glazer. I never used to go up to anybody's office, but this one day he told me that Enrico Benducci from San Francisco, who had the hungry eye, was going to be up in his office, and if I wanted to meet him, and I thought, I'm going to put on an act, because I could never ask someone for a job in real life, say, would you hire me?
That's amazing.
I couldn't. But I remember putting on this, playing the part of a person who would ask for this job, and I did this whole number on him, and he hired me. And that's how I got the hungry eye job.
Did you know that your voice was different? And Sinatra told us that he didn't think he didn't know what he did that was so different. Did you know your voice was unique?
No.
Did not?
No. I mean, I thought it was nice. It sort of sounded nice. I remember singing in the hallways of my Brooklyn apartment, with the brass rail, and there was a great echo sound in this hallway. And I thought, oh, that doesn't, it doesn't sound bad. And we all used to sing with the hit parade, all the kids at the time. And, but I didn't know how special.
So you never said, looked in the mirror and said, wow, what a gift I have.
No.
Our guest is Barbra Streisand. Wow, what a gift she has. This is Larry King Live. We'll be including your phone calls later. We're in Los Angeles. Don't go away.
Now, let's face it, Steve. Women are more devious than men. They're great at hiding things. You keep secrets. You smile when you laugh. You expect a man to be a tower of strength. And when it turns out he's got a few weaknesses, some insecurities, what do? You turn around and, goddammit, you betray him.
So you feel that your mother betrayed you?
I was talking about my wife. It's not your job to listen to my problems anyway, and if you don't mind, I'd like to go.
You're free to leave anything you want?
Good.
Barbra has just realized this is live television, right? And
it's so funny.
Why would live bother you? That's insane.
It's like the old days. I mean, this is like live. I like it. I like live. I like spontaneity.
Right, what happens now is happening, Barbra.
Yeah.
Can't do anything about it. This is it. It's going out.
This is it. I like it.
We only have an hour. I say only an hour because
that's a long time.
Talk to you for 10 hours, so let's touch a lot of bases.
Okay.
The rap on you. The anger that you seem to have at, for example, 60 Minutes and Mike Wallace, those kind of things that you feel offended you. What happened there? What went wrong?
Well, I'm very naive, I suppose, because, in other words, I like Mike. I like him. I feel him. I feel his own pain, even, He's a complex human being. And I was just very naive in terms of thinking, well, he's part of my life, my history. We started together 30 years ago. And when I was 19, I was on his show. And I thought, God, isn't this wonderful? So I was kind of shocked to be attacked, But
and hurt?
I was hurt. Yeah, I was hurt. But that's my naivete, I guess. In other words, he's looking after getting a terrific show, I suppose. Or I don't know exactly what in me touches off that anger in him. I don't know what issues he has unresolved with his own mother, or being a powerful Jewish woman, or yeah.
Do you think he brings his own problems to it?
I do. I think every interviewer brings themselves to the person they're interviewing, and preconceived notions and so forth.
Well, it's hard not to.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
The good one wants to learn.
I think that's fine, and even though the show, it was painful at moments. I mean, it was spontaneous. It was alive. People got a chance to see who he was as well as who I was.
Why do you, or have you generally resisted this? Why have we not seen you?
You see, this I like. That's why I did 60 Minutes even. I like television because I think people do get a chance to see who the person is rather than read about them.
Can't be misquoted.
Right. You cannot be misquoted. I like that. I like the truth. And whatever is going to happen here is going to happen, and they'll see it. So, interviews, why I shied away is because I couldn't believe how people take things out of context. Even like, something like, I've given 3 interviews to the New York Times over the past 20-some years. And they never saw the light of day. And when we asked, why didn't they ever get published? They said they were puff pieces. The writers liked me too much. And this is hard for me to understand. In other words, why? In other words, then they'll put a piece in that's very bad about me, derogatory, and they'll change people's quotes.
Why do you think we like to, the generalized we, like to knock people up there?
I think, by the way, that there is I think we are underestimating people. I think that the newspapers and the media cater to an element in people that is not their highest level of intelligence or good. In other words, I think the planet's in trouble. I think that we're in trouble because we're denying a kind of love that we should have with each other, between each other, to have this world live. To have our children have a good life. So I think that people really would like to hear the good news. I don't know. It's an interesting question. Which comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? In other words, is the media giving the people what they want, or are the people dictating what they want? Now, I can't say there's an absolute truth here.
Do you think people want to know the bad side of Barbra Streisand? Do you think, or you don't think they want to know that, and you think that the media wants to give?
I don't think it's either or. I think there is an and here. In other words, maybe people want to hear certain negative things about people like me and people like me in order to feel better about themselves. And there's the other thing. I think they want to hear the truth, and they want to hear positive things, and they want to be inspired, and they want to feel good. So.
But now we have an age of tabloidism, like the Governor Clinton. So how do you feel when you see something like that, or how have you felt when you've read about yourself?
I have felt outraged in the past. I'm getting to a deeper level in myself, I hope, which is to be a little bit more immune to this stuff. In other words, as I read somewhere, nothing real can be threatened and nothing unreal exists, which means that the truth is, I have been around a long time. I've been very fortunate to have wonderful fans, who've supported my work. And with all the BS that floats around, and the made-up stories and all that stuff,